Hello everyone, my name is Muir, and this is Starsector version 0.96a-RC10. And these are each of the Combined Arms units, if you will. So, what we have here is the Combined Arm Paragon, the Combined Arms Astral, and then the Combined Arms Monitor, as presented in the previous videos. So, you will notice these guys, well, we don't really have an Afflictor or Gremlin with this. You actually don't need them. These guys are actually powerful enough to start just clearing stuff on their own pretty easily. If you do have room for an Afflictor or a Gremlin in your loadout, then definitely use them just to cause more chaos, but they're not really required. Now, you will want more than just a single monitor. What you would typically do is try to field 2 of these each, so 2 Paragons, 2 Astrals if you can, and then just fill out the rest with monitors and Vanguards. Mainly so that the Astral and the Paragon do have a little bit of a screen to distract enemy units from them, and also so you can just tell the monitor to rub its face against whatever enemy ship you want distracted. Maybe their new capital or something else like that. Or maybe you're attacking a station and you just want the monitors to, rub their faces against the enemy station to keep it really distracted. But this is basically the late game setup. Just imagine there are more monitors. But after that, we have the champion over here. So again, we have a Heron instead with a monitor, because by the time you're starting to get champions and Herons, you can probably get your hands on some monitors. So the champion, it does a pretty good amount of damage. I won't really zoom in on the build, go watch the video, and it's really effective at killing enemy ships, actually. The missiles that it has actually helps it do that very quickly. The Heron here is very effective at clearing the enemy, at clearing the air, and also putting hard flux and disabling enemy ships. But yeah, you'd have these two just escorting this champion there, and this is sort of your general unit. You will have a lot more of these than you would these. So like with these, you'll have like 2 sets, and with over here, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 by comparison. Alright, then we get to the destroyer level of the Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine. We're using a Sunder and a Drover now, as well as, since this would be earlier in the game, a Vanguard. The Combined Arms Vanguard setup actually does a bit more damage than the Combined Arms Monitor. It actually does a lot more damage, but the Monitor is able to more or less completely negate damage, whereas the Vanguard here kind of just mitigates a lot of it. So you are trading survivability for being able to just do a lot more damage, and in general just be more of a nuisance. The main difference is that when you look at these guys, these 2 dudes are able to just flat out kill things, whereas over here they're going to struggle a little bit more. Because really the broadswords are what are putting hard flux on things, and then once hard flux is on stuff, it has to start dropping its shields. That's when the Sunderer kills it. Alright, lastly, we have the Wolf. This is the frigate level version of Combined Arms. So we have the Combined Arms Wolf, the Combined Arms Sunder, and the, again, Combined Arms Vanguard over here. But you will notice, where's the Afflictor and the Gremlin? And maybe the Shade if you decide to use the Shade. Well, those are over here. Because remember, you want these guys to basically go over here and then around back, maybe into the actual back of the enemy line, and then go straight into them. And so what that means is you'll have them go to these corners, and then you'll more or less have them move in. And then at a certain point, once they get to where they are where you want them to be, you'll pause the game and then go and hit S on each one of them, or search and destroy, do whatever they want. Now the other thing is that the warships, you actually want to put them on search and destroy as well, just so they can go around and make their own decisions about who needs to die and why. But all right, that is kind of the fleet. You can think about each one of these little units as a self-contained squad, if you will, as a fire team. And then these guys are sort of your specialists who are just causing a lot of chaos in the enemy ranks. But what that also means is that if you want, you have 30 slots to play with. Less if you start including cargo ships, cargo and fuel ships, extra crew, that kind of thing. So if these guys are really just squads of 3, then you have a handful of like chaos creators, chaos makers. You can kind of start thinking about your fleet in groups of 3. So you could have like 10 sets of these. The drone tender does have a decent amount of cargo capacity. So you could have 10 squads of Wolf, Wolf, Vanguard, and Drone Tender. That could work out. You could have 10 squads of these, though you'll have less range that you could really do much with. 10 squads of these, you're probably not being able to field all of them, so you're kind of getting a diminishing return there. And then over here, like if you just have 10 Paragons, 10 Astrals, and 10 Monitors, it's not really going to do anything. You'll be able to field maybe like 2 squads. So, and also with this, you do want to be sending out a lot of monitors just to support these two. And over here too, you can just send out a lot more monitors as well. The warship, if you can, you want an officer on there that is designed around using the warships. Most of the builds for the warships that I have in Combined Arms, they sort of portray what you want your ideal officer to be. And what this also means is that you can start building up the officers you will be using on your Paragons and Astrals at the point where you have Wolves and Drone Tenders. It's perfectly fine. Just keep in mind that you will be spending a lot of time just dismissing officers because you couldn't get the skills that you wanted. This is kind of just how it goes. What this also means is that because this fleet doctrine is kind of expensive when it comes to story points, you will be needing to invest quite heavily in your officers and in your ships as well. So you don't actually want to lose ships whenever possible. Though there is a thing. So all these ships have story points invested into them. Keep in mind that when you scuttle a ship with story points on it, you will gain bonus experience to the point that you will get those story points back in the near future. So just be aware of that. Scuttle ships that you have story points on, when you want to get rid of them, don't sell them, and everything should work out. But alright, my recommendation is for every squad, have at least some sort of chaos creating phase ship until you get up to this level where you're just using Paragons and Astrals, at which point you really don't need them because these guys can just overpower everything. At this level, you're probably better off having a lot more monitors and having a handful of these guys just to hunt down and assassinate things. But at Destroyer and Frigate level, you will definitely need these chaos creating phase ships to help you succeed in fights. But alright guys, that's sort of the overview, the explanation of how the Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine works. And yeah, so just go ahead and let me know how it works out for you, and I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.